Good morning, everyone. Welcome to your week 7 breakfast bite, your final breakfast bite. So you've made it, yay! Just next week for your final exams and your final team presentation, and you're all good to go, and you can breathe a sigh of relief. You've made it through BUL3564. So give yourselves a big pat on the back. Now, with that said, I do want to go ahead and discuss the team deliverables for this coming week and for week 8. For your team deliverables this week, for your deliverable 3, you're creating a PowerPoint, and this Monday Morning Breakfast Bite is going to focus just on the team project. So when you're creating this PowerPoint, you're creating 10 to 12 slides that are literally just your roadmap, okay? So you don't want them to say too much, because if they say too much, what happens is your audience is paying more attention to the PowerPoint than to you, and you want them paying attention to you because you're the presenter and you're going to have the voice inflection where you want it to be. You're going to be able to expound on what they're seeing on the screen. So if you're using your PowerPoint, you're treating it as though it's going to be, let's say, demonstrative evidence that you're going to be using for your closing argument. So when you set up this PowerPoint, you don't have to necessarily go by the format that you've had for the case brief writing assignments. What you can do is think about how you would present this to a jury. You know, my closing arguments, I don't think any one closing argument was structured exactly the same as another, because every case is different. And you have a jury and you have a judge that's different. And so you're generally going to tailor your closing argument to have the best impact for your client, because the best impact is going to hopefully have the best result. So when you create it, think about, do I want to start by talking about the law? Do I want to start by talking about the facts? Do I want to dive into the issue and say, you know what, we're here today because this is the legal question. This is the issue you have to resolve. And da-da-da-da-da. And in resolving that issue, you have to look at certain laws and determine whether those laws, the facts that occurred in this case, apply to those particular laws. If you're the defense, you may be saying they apply to these laws but not to that law. Or you may be saying those laws aren't applicable because blah, 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 blah. So, you know, it just depends on how you're going to handle it. But treat this as a persuasive PowerPoint, because this PowerPoint is what you're going to use for your final presentation for Part 4. And in Part 4, what you're going to do is each team member is going to have a section of the PowerPoint, 1 or 2 slides or 3 slides, depending on how many people are on your team, that they're going to address. And when you're addressing them, you can do so by creating a Camtasia presentation, which is how I've created all these Monday Morning Breakfast Bites. Or you can use voice over PowerPoint. You can use YouTube's recording. There's so many out there. That's why I don't put anything specifically in the course itself, because it's an opportunity for you to learn different ways to do recordings on your computer and get that same information, that same understanding of how you use technology. Obviously, you're in a technology-based program, so that's a good thing. So if you have another program that you prefer to use, that's fine. But remember, the PowerPoint in the presentation has to be combined into one whole presentation for the presentation part, deliverable 4. So you want to make sure that a lot of times what some students will do is one person will record on the PowerPoint and then send that PowerPoint on to the next team member, and that team member can record their part on it, so that you have the same PowerPoint being recorded upon, and you're not trying to merge all these different sections of the PowerPoint into one cohesive presentation. So you can do it that way. Again, you know, some students have actually gotten together online, or, you know, met together somewhere and done a recording that way. It's really up to you in your comfort zone and your time, of course, that you can invest in this. So go from there. You guys do a great job. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to contact me. You know I am here to answer your questions, and we'll just go from there. Have a great week 7.